Okay, welcome to the monthly Operator SDK meeting. My name is Eric Straczynski, and I'll be moderating today. Can you all still see the agenda, or did I just screw that up?
Yeah, it's just a Jira board right now.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, how about now?
Yes. Nice.
Okay, awesome. So we have 2 items on the agenda today. Jesus, Run bundle has merged and is available in master. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Hope you guys can hear me. So Monday, Run Bundle merged into master. So if you want to try Run Bundle out, you can just build master and give it a try. If folks are interested, I could do a quick demo, not the full one, but I could do one right now.
I think
Or
that'd
we
be
could
cool.
wait till later.
I mean, we don't have that much on the agenda, and we have time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can share my
If you want
screen.
to, I don't know if you're planning on doing this during the demo, but you want to explain kind of at a high level what it does.
Sure. So let me go ahead and get this set up. That one. So one of the things OLM, the Operator Lifecycle Manager, has switched formats to what they call a bundle, which contains kind of the operator metadata and kind of its packaging format to run in OLM. There are a series of steps you would have to do to get it to run yourself. So one of the ideas that we had to with Operator SDK was to allow you to run your bundle in OLM with as minimal options as possible without having to understand all of the nitty gritty that's happening underneath. So the subcommand is run bundle. It takes in a bundle image, which you will build from your operator. It's one of the tasks in the makefile. And you can also optionally give it an index image, which is basically kind of like the repository or the catalog source for the bundles in OLM. You can also then give it a timeout, kube config. The namespace is where you want to run your operator. And install mode. Install mode is pretty much a mechanism in OLM that kind of indicates how your operator is going to watch namespaces. The options are all namespaces, so basically watch all of them. You can watch your own namespace, which sets the operator group to the namespace of your operator, or you can watch a single one, so a specific one. So in other words, I could run the operator in foo namespace and then watch bar as well. So those are the more advanced options. But to see how easy it is, now I kind of cheated. I already did all the steps. So I already have my bundles built and the operator built. Okay, get namespaces. I'm running Kindy right now. There's nothing running in default. shoot. Live demos, live demos. Okay. So there it is. We're just going to run this operator bundle by itself, no options. So this will run it in the default namespace. It'll default to all namespace as the install mode. Because there is no operator group existing, we're going to also create one.
While that's running, one thing that is currently a minor limitation of this is that the bundle image has to be pushed to a remote repository for all of this to work. We should probably, I don't know if we have that in any of our documentation anywhere, Jesus, but if we don't,
Not
we
yet.
should probably update it.
Not yet.
I'm not too familiar with OLM. Is an operator group some abstraction from that?
I want to say yes. I'm not. I don't have a good definition of.
So operator group is
Thank you.
a resource that exists, that there's one per namespace, and it's basically a way of segmenting the cluster such that an operators installed in that namespace are only allowed to watch namespaces defined by that operator group. So yes, that's basically an OLM abstraction that as an operator, as a user, you probably don't care about that much. You're probably worried more about that as a cluster administrator. If you're the one deploying the operators, you need to be able to say, this set of operators I want watching this set of namespaces, and this other set of operators I want watching this second set of namespaces, which may overlap or not. And there's a bunch of other things going on under the hood too. There's the run bundle command is creating a catalog source. I don't know if you want to jump back in, Jesus, and explain some of the other abstractions.
Sure. So yes, we create an ephemeral index which contains your bundle in it, and then we create a catalog source from that. So you'll see as we created that, we were printing that out. We created an operator group for it. Then we created the subscription for OLM for the operator as well. And then the CSV as well. And then that's triggered the installation.
So the kind of normal path that you would do if you were running in production is you would publish your bundle to an index image. And then when you create your catalog source, you would just say, you know, here's a catalog source, and one of the fields inside the catalog source is an image path. And so typically the way that running operators works in production is you just have a catalog source that points to an index image, and then all of the operators that are declared within that index can be set up via subscriptions. So the beauty of Run Bundle is that we've kind of totally bypassed the requirement of needing an index image. You don't have, as an operator developer, you don't have to worry yet really about the idea of what it means to get your bundle into an index. So under the hood, what we're doing is creating a pod in the cluster the exact same way that OLM would for the index that runs, but instead of just downloading an existing index image, we're creating kind of either a totally empty one, and then we're injecting the bundle into it on the fly, or we're allowing someone to say, well, I know that I've got an existing index that I want to add this candidate bundle to, so use that one as my base and then inject this new bundle into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the catalog source can be configured. Instead of saying use this image, we can say actually, you know, don't worry about an index image that exists already. I'm just going to tell you the address of this gRPC service that you can find, and that will be the thing that you talk to get your index data. So there's a bunch of nice stuff happening under the hood of Run Bundle that is otherwise a pretty big ask for people learning and getting into onboarding with OLM to understand all these concepts.
Yep.
That being said, OLM is working on an operator API that should hopefully simplify a lot of this, and Run Bundle will update accordingly as this new API comes in that should consolidate all of these abstractions down into hopefully just one abstraction. There might be one or two.
Yeah. So as you can see here, the operator is running and reconciling. So that's all I had.
Why don't you
Just
show
real
the
quick.
cleanup as well?
Oh, so that cleans up all the resources it created. So if we go to, goes back to normal. It's nothing. So there we go. I always forget
So,
about cleanup. It's very
We
nice.
should, I think I should caveat cleanup a little bit that there's a lot of different things operators can do in a cluster, and it's not always possible to fully revert an operator installation. So basically what the cleanup command is doing is looking up the install plan that was used to install it and then deleting everything that was installed via the install plan. So if the operator is doing something outside of that, then those things won't be found unless the operator itself is able to clean those up before being deleted. But you'd have, if you were relying on that, you would also have to put some logic in your operator to do that cleanup stuff with some signal handling and stuff like that. So that's probably not a very common use case. The other thing to point out with this is that you'll notice in the second line of that output, the custom resource definition gets deleted. And if you're familiar with how garbage collection works in Kubernetes, that also means that the custom resources for that custom resource definition get deleted, which means that all of your operands will be gone after you do a cleanup. So this is not something that we would advise people to use in production, because you're going to destroy all of your operands, which might be unexpected. So this is definitely intended as a development tool to have a fast iteration loop on compiling your operator, building your bundle, running your bundle, seeing if things work, tearing it back down, and having that quick iteration loop without having to push to an index image or get a real full-fledged environment going, or doing any of this on a production cluster.
Yep. Any questions? I'll actually put all of the steps into the agenda, where it starts from creating an empty brand new operator, adding the API, building the bundle, and all of those things. Okay.
Super cool stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that demo. That's great. All right, second agenda item, Camilla, discussion of the new samples that we're adding to the SDK repo.
Yeah, I just thought that it would be nice to share our intentions. I believe that it is you reduce the effort to do the reviews, because today we need to clone the pull request, install the binary locally. Then we need to create a project change to check the changes in the scaffolds. For example, if we do something, bug fix, or implement something new for the files that will be scaffolded by the tool. So if we able to achieve this result, proposing this EP, will be easy, because in the review we can check the changes in the GitHub without this effort. And it has others motivations as well, as how, for example, don't have the effort to update the samples in another repo, because usually we do the release, then we need to upgrade the samples. This has some effort, and it usually has a delay for the users too. So just to share our intentions. I thought that it would be nice. I doesn't know if someone would like to say something or make a question. But it is a work in progress already. So any question? No. So,
Thanks, Camilla.
Sorry, I just realized I was muted and I was talking for a minute. Is there a date that we plan on archiving the samples repo?
I don't think we planned any date. I think when all samples be merged, maybe we can do that. We can decide this. But it
Yeah.
probably will be soon.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Since
Austin, thanks for sharing.
since we're like halfway through getting all of the samples into the SDK repo, should we consider that a release blocker for 1.1?
I don't really have an opinion on that. I mean, it could be, but it doesn't really relate to the like release itself per se. Like we wouldn't
It
update.
doesn't end up affecting the artifacts.
Yeah.
that we-
Also, I don't think we've updated any of our documentation to point to the existing samples yet, have we?
No, it's not part of the EP. The EP just cover. We do the samples and reusing the tests and it is stuff.
Right. And so after the repo is archived, then we'll update all of our documentation. Or I guess
Source
before that
resume.
happens.
Cool. So
Yeah.
when we do the 1.1 release, we probably will need to do one final samples update.
Yeah, that's okay.
I believe
If we
that
don't get
it-
everything in by then.
Yeah, I believe that it will be possible get all done before because Ansible and Helm is merged and Go was reviewed. So I believe that we will be able to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets done beforehand, that'd be great. If it doesn't, I wouldn't block the release on it. We've already pushed the release back by a little bit, so I think it's not worth necessarily blocking on it. But we'll see what happens when we hit release week, which is next week, I believe, which is the next topic of conversation. So, Austin, if you want to take that away.
Yeah, I didn't really have much to say here. I just wanted to drop a link, and if anyone wasn't in the grooming meeting, the next release is scheduled for next Wednesday. And any of those issues in that milestone that aren't finished will get bumped to 1.2 unless they have a release blocker tag. And in that case, we will delay the release, but hopefully we're not going to be doing that.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, going forward, we are going to be having grooming meetings every 3 weeks, staggered such that they happen 2 weeks before the next release. And we'll be triaging, well, not triaging, we already do that every Monday. We'll be going through the backlog and making sure that priorities are on issues and that high priority issues are in release milestones. There was an invite sent out to the operator framework group recently for that recurring meeting. So you should all have that invite and should all attend. And then also there's an agenda for that. So if there's any issues that you think should be in a particular release, put them on the agenda. It's actually the same document as this. I'll be adding another template on top of this one so that you can start filling that out for the next grooming meeting. Any questions on any agenda topic today or what I just said? Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else, I think we can conclude today's meeting. Thank you very much for joining.
Still like to shield for reviews for my pull request. Still trying to get it in.
Which pull request is that?
What about refactoring stuff and the generators?
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I hope that I have some time to do that soon. I know I've been saying that for a while. I should probably just buck up and do it.
Well, with our new and improved grooming session, I suppose it's not too big a deal because with the code freeze on Friday, I'm probably not going to be able to finish all the rest of it by then. So it's not too big a deal, but I just would like people to be aware of it.
Yeah, and keep bringing it up in all meetings that we're in as well. And that goes for anybody else who has PRs or issues that they are concerned about. That's the whole reason for these meetings. So
there's actually another thing I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
If that's enough on that.
Well, Jonathan, before you move on, can you add a link to that PR that you're interested in getting reviews for in the agenda?
Sure.
At some point, you can move on to your next topic if you want right now.
No, that's not what I want. Yeah, I'll figure that out. So during the grooming session, I added myself as an insignee for the thing about fixing the auto-generated make files that they run. And we went back and forth on that for a bit, and it seems like now that it's been fixed upstream and it's dependent on a bump to Kube Builder, which is what I actually want to talk about. So I believe this is also blocking something that's blocking 1.1, but it sounds like it's dependent on some PR that hasn't been merged yet, and I'm just wanted to know where we were with that, because like I don't know how much that's under our control, but I believe one of the 1.1 release blockers is dependent on it. So how do we feel about that?
What is the issue? Sorry. Could you just put the link?
Let me see if I can find it. So the issue, or the one in Kube Builder is 1711.
So in general, we use Kube Builder for a lot of our stuff and help develop Kube Builder. So we typically, for the Go operator especially, we need to get changes into Kube Builder master and ideally into a Kube Builder release before we before we bump Kube Builder in the SDK to get those changes. So for example, any updates to the make file for Go projects, we need to first get those into Kube Builder and then bump Kube Builder in our in the Operator SDK repo. And then when users scaffold out a project, they'll see those changes. And the process is basically just bump Kube Builder often, and that's, yeah. There's no like formal process for bumping any dependency other than upstream Kubernetes dependencies, which we obviously try and pin to a minor version.
3692 is the one that's currently a 1.1 blocker. So if that's the case, are we going to move that to 1.2? Because I don't, it doesn't seem very likely that that's going to get merged and Kube Builder is going to cut a release by Friday.
It doesn't need to cut a release. It just needs to be in master because you can pin to a commit.
We had one approval already. Just in this specific case, we are looking for more one. Okay, maybe we will be able to achieve that before the release. But I don't see a problem. I don't think it is to be a blocker for the release. Because the release has other things. So in my humble opinion, I think we should move it with the release if it doesn't happen in time.
Yeah, I mean, we've already said if something's not a release blocker, then we can move it to the next milestone. But ideally, it would be done in KubeBuilder, and then we would bump KubeBuilder for the 1.1 release, and that's why it's in the 1.1 milestone currently.
Well, it does have a release blocker tag.
Oh, if it
And the
does,
reason-
then we have to block on it. That's
Unless we decide we don't want to anymore. I think the reason that we said it is a blocker is because really this is like a pretty significant bug that we knew about when we made the 1.0 release. We wrote some docs up basically as a workaround, and we really want to not have to force everyone to go read the docs and go make this substitution in their makefile just to get things to work out of the box.
Yeah, it's a
So I
pretty
think-
gross user experience.
Yeah. So I think that's why we had a consensus when we were talking about this during triage that this should block the release. And I think we should backport this to 1.0 as well whenever we get it merged.
Yeah, and there is a PR in the SDK, unless it got closed, that kind of patched this in the SDK in a way that once this did get into upstream for the V2 plugin in KubeBuilder, it would basically be the same thing. But I think we decided initially to try and get this into upstream because we should do that by default going forward. So I think one way or the other, we can get this changed into 1.1. It just depends on how. And as for the speed of how quickly we can get things into KubeBuilder, that it varies. I think for urgent things that the entire community wants, something like this shouldn't take too long. So we'll see.
Yeah, I had another thought that came up as the meeting grew longer. Sorry about that. I'm expecting that the 1.20 release of Kubernetes, which I'm expecting that to have an early release in December or so. That should completely remove CRD v1 beta 1, and I'm wondering if there's anything we need to do to highlight that to our community and make sure people are aware, or if that's already kind of in play.
As far as I know, the v1 beta 1 CRD removal doesn't happen until 1.22, and they originally wanted to remove it in either 1.19 or 1.20, then decided to push that out and just deprecate in 1.19.
I'm glad I brought it up. I wasn't aware of that. That sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And there's also a PR that I'm managing in KubeBuilder that defaults both webhooks and CRDs to v1. So that won't even be a problem after that's merged. You still have the option of scaffolding v1, beta 1 webhooks and CRDs, but you don't have to, obviously.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Jonathan, does what I said and everybody else said answer your question?
Sure.
Okay.
Jonathan Camille, I just put a note in the chat. I just wanted to make sure you saw it. There's a meeting tomorrow, the normal KubeBuilder control runtime meeting, that we can bring up the makefile stuff and get some attention on it. And hopefully that'll be enough that we can get that merged quickly.
Sure, I'll show up to that meeting. It's supposed to be in my calendar. I think I mixed things up. Or maybe my calendar's just covered in stuff.
All right. Is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Very productive meeting as always. And we'll see you on Monday.